Hi, so I'm going to talk about beginner witchcraft today. I have some notes. So first things first, to be a witch, all you have to do is consider yourself a witch. So there's so many different types of witches, different variables, and basically, if you say you're a witch, then you're a witch. That's all that matters, and like, doesn't matter what other people say, because it's about your path, no one else's path. So, yeah. The second point I want to make is that you don't need any tools, but you do need to work with and or feel energy. If you can't feel it yet, that's okay. Just try your best to work with it the best you can. It's definitely a skill. So yeah, but that is the one thing that facilitates the magic. So that is something that is very important to be a witch, is to work with the energy. Um, the third point is to let yourself guide you. So if you're picking out tools, you're figuring out how the spell is going to go, the best thing to do is to just let yourself guide you. If you feel drawn to certain herbs, if you feel drawn to certain methods like jars, charms, letting it sit for a while, or burning it, um, then just go with what you're drawn to, because that's what's going to help the energy the most, is if you are letting it flow and just um, trusting yourself. Definitely trust yourself. I feel like a lot of people don't trust themselves, but whatever things you're drawn to is correct. It literally doesn't matter. You can use anything. You can use this cord right next to me. I don't even know what it's from, what it goes to, but I can use it in witchcraft for something. So you can literally use anything that you pick up. Just make sure it's something you're drawn to, something that feels right for the spell. Like, I might use that cord for something that has to do with power, and it feels right. It the meanings don't have to match up, but if if you're feeling the energy and working with the energy, then most likely it's easier to do if the meanings match up. So, yeah, if you have herbs you don't know the meanings of, that's okay. You can use them anyway, but it is slightly better to know and use the herbs that correlate with your spell. At least, like, just the tiniest bit. Like, um, yeah. Like, it's slightly fiery, so you're like, okay, I'm going to use that because the spell is slightly fiery. Um, yeah, so also a good tip is to, when you're writing down the spell, try and feel the energy of the ritual or spell, so that you know what herbs, what crystals, what candles match the energy that of the spell. So like, if you have a certain energy in mind, you can try to match it with the tools that you have, if any. You obviously don't need any tools. I'm just explaining for people who do have tools, obviously. And you can also do imagination work. Um, imagination work, you can obviously use any tools that you can think of. Um, and yeah, just imagining things to help facilitate energy. It can be anything. It can be a scene, it can be tools, it can be an experience, or just light. It can be light, um, energy, orbs, stuff like that. Colors. Yeah. And that's a good way to protect yourself also is to imagine a ring around you. It can be a natural materials, or it can be light or colors. It can be storm or something like that. You know what I mean? You can get really creative with it. Something that really sticks to your heart would be best for protection. You can also make a bag or jar or a sigil. Sigils are really easy. Um, yeah, or you can just bless the place by saying a little chant or just energy working it. Energy working in general is kind of hard to do without any tools or anything, but practice makes perfect. So yeah, and that is definitely true for witchcraft too. It's definitely a skill, so don't be discouraged. Really don't be. It's not easy, but yeah, it definitely gets easier. So yeah, to write a spell, you're going to need the intention, maybe some shadow work, which is optional but definitely preferred, to do a little shadow work on the spell and ritual in general. The outcome, the doing the spell, just so it can work better. Um, yeah, and have a set intention. Um, and then you can write down your tools and stuff and directions. And then you can perform the spell. Um, yeah, and you can change the directions and stuff as you perform it. Sometimes that happens and you're like, oh wow, I like this better. That goes back to the letting it flow, because sometimes you're just like, wow, I really want to use that certain thing, and you're like, well, that means this spell is going to work better because those certain things will help the energy. You should just trust yourself, because you are a soul, and like your soul knows a lot of things. Like, so make sure you're definitely trusting yourself. That is also a very important witch tip. So some spells that you can do, some self-relationship, letting go, mental health spells. Those kind of go together. You can do attraction spells, bags and charms, and jars spells. You can honor the moons and the suns, and just astrology in general, and the cycles of nature, the cycles of yourself, your menstrual cycle, for bleeders out there. Yeah, you can get creative with that, whatever your needs are. So when you're writing down your intention, write a need and what you want, and what you want your outcome to be. So just write all of that down, and yeah, so it can give you a better idea of the type of spell, any shadow work that you need to do, because it's not all the spell and ritual. It's not all on the magic. It's also your insides, and like working with the spell, and not like, what's the word? Not repelling the spell or the shadow work. You don't have to like focus so much on it. You can just don't like push it away. If it comes to you naturally, let it come to you naturally. Don't push it away or avoid. Um, if you're doing a spell on it, I'm not telling you go do your shadow work. I'm saying if you're doing a spell, that is the best way to do those types of spells. Yeah, to do any spell really. Like if you're doing one on money, you might want to work on some of your mindsets too. Yeah. So yeah, go on to the next point now. In creating a circle or a sacred space, and you just move your wand or your hand around in a circle, or go around you and chant what you want in the circle, who you're calling upon. And so I'm not going to call upon anyone. I would say, let peace, goodness, protection, and magic into this circle or this sacred space. You can also just charm your bed and be like, this is my sacred space for this ritual. And to close it, just say, I close this circle, I close this sacred space. You can add a little, as I say, Simona B, to add a little power. Saying, as I say, Simona B adds power to the energy, or to yourself, or to both, whatever you believe. Yeah, and you can make a room a sacred space too. Circles and sacred spaces are pretty similar. Circles are a little bit more protection, and sacred spaces are a little bit more energy, but you need both sides, energy and protection. So you can do that either way you want to do that. And an altar is also a sacred space that you create. Yeah, just a bunch of tools, or you can have nothing. You can have a piece of paper and a pencil, or a candle, or just a place, like just a corner where you sit cross-legged, and have the intention of praying, which doesn't have to be to anything. You can just pray to yourself. I think that's it. I hope you got stuff out of this, and I hope I wasn't too confusing. Definitely good luck on your witchy journey. Have a nice day. See if I do.